Online.
Yeah, I think we are on.
We are.
Yes, it gives me the indicator. All right. I think we are on, and welcome to another show of Prime Time at DCL. I have Viju with me as well. Uh, and this week, as we get, oh wow, he's already sharpening his knives. Looks
Yeah,
like the,
Partha, I have an entire host here. As you can see, I have this whole knife block set.
oh
And
wow.
today I'm the Grim Reaper, all right? I'm the Grim Reaper today. I think you're also wearing black. We did not exchange notes, but I'm the Grim Reaper today, and I have some choice words for some people who have been taking
Wow.
a little too much liberty on Glads. So we'll
Wow.
see.
All right. All right. There's going to be some fireworks in the show with knives. I'm sure there's sparks already
The knife,
flying.
yeah, the knives are out. I've been sharpening that for quite some time.
Nice. All right. We love it. You'll see when this opportunity comes and the context of this sharpening of the knife. But let's start off with last weekend's games. And as we talked about in the previous show, as we come to the end of the league stage of DCL, things are hotting up in both the playoff run race as well as the Division 2, Division 1 trade-off as well. So a lot of teams in with a chance. A lot of teams are, a win or two away from securing a place in the playoffs. But for the first game of tonight, I'm going to start off with Punjab Scorpions and Marvels. And Viju, I think, we all were quite in awe, jaw-dropping century by Manjinder. And just the other day, I mean, I was, we were talking on WhatsApp and we were talking about this ball and, how it's not being able to help the big hitters. And this week we have quite a few big scores. We are going to talk about obviously Praveen Dige, but this one, Manjinder with 14 sixes, he just completely pummeled Marvel, 190 in 25 overs, and then Marvels have no reply. What's your take on this innings from Manjinder?
Uh, Parthiv, you know what? Manjinder did us a favor. You might wonder how he did us a favor. Because the moment I saw 14 sixes from Manjinder, you guess what I did? I took a snapshot of that and sent it in the Glads group for them to start believing that the ball can fly if they hit it properly, you see. So, uh, and when we get to the Glads game, we'll talk about the resurrection of Hardeep Singh because uh, in that game, you'll find that in two balls, that game changed on its head. And you were
Yep.
talking about it as the game was going live, and we'll get to that. But
Hmm.
at the height of his popularity, when he was the Badshah of Bollywood, I remember when I was young, I remember reading an article in the foreign press where they said that Amitabh Bachchan was number one through number 10
Mm.
in Bollywood. You can start counting from 11. 1 through 10 is Amitabh, and there is nobody else even close, kind of a thing. He was that popular, and that almost every movie was a hit and things like that. And the reason I bring that up is in this game, there is no need to talk about anybody else.
Hmm.
Absolutely no need to talk about anybody else because it's the sheer brilliance of Manjinder Gill. 109 in 47 balls. I do not know if we have seen that kind of an innings ever in the history of DCL.
Yep.
Uh, 14 maximums. I am very sure that is a DCL record. You see, because
Mm.
you're talking about 84 runs came in just sixes, you see. And
Yep.
when you look at the 25th over part of this guy was 79 not out in 41 balls. And that last over went for 30 runs.
Wow.
Five sixes came in that over. And all of a sudden, his score ballooned from 79 in 41 to 109 in 47. Six, 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 a dot ball, and then two sixes. And Mohan,
Wow.
who was bowling that last over, went from figures of 3 overs, 30 runs, to figures of 4 overs, 60 runs. You have to feel bad for him. But
Right.
this was the I have to label this guy a different name. I keep coming up with names. I'm very good at this business of making up names. Ajbani became awesome. Arjun Ajbani, Triple A. And now I'll have to give Money Gill the Triple M name, you see. It will be the marvelous, majestic Money. It was a marvelous, majestic Money who he put on a show. And if you ask me, he was like a white lily, a pure white lily emerging in pristine purity out of the blackness and darkness of a misty miasmal mill pond. And that's exactly how this innings turned out. It was the highlight of this game. I don't think we need to talk about the opponent. We don't need to talk about his partners, just like AB was 1 through 10 in the film industry at the height of his career. In this game, it would be a travesty to talk about anybody else other than Manjinder Gill and say that, you know what, it was the Money Gill show, the marvelous, majestic Manjinder Gill. Take a bow.
Yep.
And hats off.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I feel proud to say that once upon a time he did play for Glads.
Oh wow!
And he did score. And he did score a 50 for Glads also in one of the games. So all along I knew that this guy can hit the cover off the ball.
Yep. And to be honest, I mean, the situation which he came in was not that easy. I mean, you look at the scorecard, he came in at 4 for 48. I'm pretty sure Marvels were pretty optimistic at that stage. But from there, from 4 for 48, he just took it on himself. And, as you said, he was the lone man, took it on to 190. And after that, there's no way Marvels were going to compete with that kind of innings and with their shoulders already down. But all in all, I think Punjab Scorpions with this win, if you look at their stats and table, have given themselves a sniff of a chance. I mean, in Group B, I think between Rangers and
can you show that screenshot if possible, if you have it, or if you don't have it, it's okay. I mean, it might make it easy. It might make it easier for the people to visualize what you're talking about.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Yeah, I'm talking about this win. It propels them to 8 in the table, and with Rangers and Guardians and local boys, they're all within vicinity. So if they continue this strong run and get another couple of wins, you never know. I mean, it's only a 3-point gap between the 6th and the 8th. So definitely this win with the run rate that helps as well in case the points are tied. Punjab Scorpions have a sniff of a chance to get into the playoffs. Remember, top 6 get into the playoffs. So that's what they will be looking for in the next few games. All right, stop sharing. Next game we'll go to is the Dark Horses versus Vikings. Now, this is a game which I think was even Stevens when we predicted as well. There were a few which went with Dark Horses, a few that went with Vikings. And to be honest, and I'll go to the table back again, this game definitely had a huge bearing on how the table is going to look like, because this win, if Dark Horses had this win somehow, if they had won this game, they would have put at least a foot into the door for getting into the playoffs. I mean, not that they don't have a chance now, but Vikings for sure. I mean, they with this win have put themselves in a very good position for Dark Horses. And again, if you look at the scorecard of Dark Horses, Rahul Bhandari dominates that scorecard. He or Pankaj or both of them need to be firing all cylinders for Dark Horses to win. In this case, what's back from India, but still not probably the words of the old, did not fire, got out very cheaply, and then with Rahul's 21 or 24 odd, Dark Horses was only able to get 28. And I mean, they fought hard, I would say, but even on the bowling side, if you see, Pankaj was probably not over his jet lag. 8 wides and 1 no ball in his 2 overs. That is very unlike Pankaj. So I mean, all in all, I think it is a win, a game that Dark Horses, I'm sure, would regret losing, especially coming so close, getting Vikings 69 for 8. Your take on this, Viju?
Parthiv, there you said that great minds think alike. Uh, we did not share notes, but we both picked the same exact three games to cover. And you said
Yep.
about jet lag, and guess what? I have jet lag written here, right here, next to Pankaj Watt. So I had to show you that. But I think Durga Prasad Parmarthi had a fantastic game. 4 overs, one made it, 11 runs, 4 wickets. And if you ask me, that is spell probably sunk the dark horse's boat.
Yep.
Because despite Pankaj Watts coming back, this was a captain's innings from Durga. Even though he scored only 11 runs, the fact that he stood around for 32 balls made it good. It was another great outing from Rahul Bandari. He has been forced to carry the load by himself. But you know what, Parthiv, in this game, I saw that there were two runouts and there were two crucial runouts. One was Mohammad Nabi, who is a good batsman, and the other was Raghav. And they both happened when Rahul Bandari was the companion. So I do not
Wow.
know
Okay.
who caused whose runout, or whether this was some exceptional fielding, or whether it was some poor running, or whether Rahul was to be blamed for this. But we do not know that, right? Because just
Right.
looking at the scorecard, we can't figure that out. But all in all, I have to say that Bandari has had a good game this season. This is time after time he has picked up his hands. But Watts is probably suffering from jet lag, both on the bowling department and sure enough on the batting department too. I mean, he was late on the ball and paid the price. But I thought Vikings were clinical, Parthiv. They got the
Yep.
bonus point too with the
Right.
last possible ball, So that means that Durga was either this was, I don't think it is an accident. I think it was deliberately executed that way.
Yep.
So let's give credit to Durga for executing a flawless chase. But Aman, Vaibhav, and extras gave Durga some support. But all in all, a good game for Vikings. And also, this has really put them in the fifth spot. So this is
Yep.
something which I don't think many of us had seen this happening, because we would have thought that Vikings would miss the playoffs. But right now they are in a very pretty comfortable position. They still have one more game, but at least they control some of their destiny. And I think Durga and company can hold their head high on a fantastic season so far. I mean, yeah, for a new team coming out, and then I understand that some of these guys played before under different brand names and things like that, but still, I think they had to rejig the whole operation, and they still got the job done. And when some teams like KECC, will talk about them a little bit later, but
Yep.
can't get the job done, I think Durga can hold his head high.
Yep. Absolutely. And as I'm showing this table here, as you can see, with Vikings on 5, dark horses with this game, even though they are 10th right now, if they had won this game, they would have straight away moved into the 8th position, and from there they could have another game that could have gone their way, and they would have boosted the chance. So I think here is where I think this is the game that dark horses would regret losing, because there was a definite chance for them to get into playoffs. But now I think with 2 games remaining, I'm sure Pankaj would be looking for ending this season on a high. All right,
But I know one thing: Pankaj will not give up. He's going
Yep.
to still put his best foot forward. That's one thing I'll give it to him
Yep.
for.
Absolutely. Yeah, knowing him so many years, yeah, he is going to still come Saturday morning and give it his best. The next game we're going to cover is the RC Royal Challengers Detroit versus Thunderbolts. And this game was pretty seesawy, I would say. I mean, Thunderbolts were in trouble from where I looked when I was looking at it. Chasing a modest total of 71. I think at one stage they were really struggling with the initial start, which wasn't going their way. I mean, they were 3 for 9, chasing 72, and I really thought that they might mess up this chase, but it was the Sambanadam, if I'm saying his name right, his innings of that 24, I think made the difference. And especially when you're chasing a total of 72, the tens and twenties is all really that you need. You probably don't need a huge 50, or I mean, obviously if you get it, it's great, you dominate, but is these small contributions that all add up. And that's where I think even the contribution from Riaz at the top and then Mithilesh at the bottom, those 9, 10, 20 runs, all added up and got Thunderbolts across the line. But I think Thunderbolts, have been a team that has been looking to definitely come into, topping the table. I think they're number two in in their group. So I'm pretty sure Avi and company would be looking forward to playoffs and hopefully coming and playing in Division One, which I know Avi hates it, but I'm sure if the way Thunderbolts are going, he might end up actually playing in Division One.
Yeah, but Parthiv, given a choice between playing Division 2 and Division 1, I mean, even if I score only 5 runs in Division 1, and if I can score, let's say, 30 runs in Division 2, I'll prefer the Division 1 because
That's true.
I can at least respect the fact that I played against the best and I
Mhm.
still scored some runs or made my team win. I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, you're playing at a high level even now. And so the thing is that, you're playing in Division 1 and you can still say that I'm competing against the best and still scoring
Yep.
20 runs and making my team win. I don't know. I think for me, that's a lot more valuable than anything else. But Avi has something to say. It's about the team mindset. I think, yeah, I do not know, but I think we compete. We have to win. We play to win. I think, I don't know if you saw that comment by one of the Jets coaches. I forgot his name right now.
Mm.
You play to win the game. It's a very Herman Edwards. He's the one who said that. At some point, he comes to this thing and says, Herman Edwards says, you play to win the game. I mean, the bottom line is that, out there when you go out and compete, if you don't have
Mhm.
an intention of winning, then why in the world did you even come to play? You see. So for me, that is critical in all of sports because the moment you stop trying, then the whole thing loses its value and its significance because you're all chasing after one prize. But anyway, in this game, let me continue. Pratik, 12 of 27, and Shreyas, 11 out of 30 showed up. Those are the only two guys who showed up for RCD. But on the Thunderbolt side, Deepak Bhaskaran, 5 overs, 1 maiden, 9 runs, 1 wicket. Riaz Kareem had a fabulous day with the ball. 4 overs, 2 maiden, 5 runs, 2 wickets. And then he joined up with Lokesh, who had pretty good figures too, 4.2 overs. He picked up 3 wickets, but gave up 16 runs, which again is not a whole lot of runs, if you ask me. So these three guys, if you ask me, sunk RCD. That's probably where it was. But Riaz again performed with the bat, 14 runs in 40 balls. And then Guru had 24 in 35 balls. They took Thunderbolts home, if you ask me. And so at the end of the day, that's what counts. The win is what counts. And you play
Mhm.
to win the game. And if you, whether you score 2 runs or 25 runs, as long as your team wins the game, that's the most important thing. I mean, that's why it's a team game. In a team game, you might be a very insignificant piece, but as that piece probably makes all the difference between winning and
Mhm.
losing. And you will find that actually, if you go and look at the Raptors game, Raptors have been involved in several close games, and some
Yep.
have gone in their way and some have not gone in their way. Ultimately, that difference was probably somebody scoring that 2 runs or 3 runs
Mhm.
or an
Mhm.
extra wide here or an extra wide there. So we have to be mindful of that because that's what we come on a Saturday morning is that we come with the intention of winning the game and do whatever it takes to win the game. Having said that, I know that Avi recently played a game and I mean his team was hopelessly out of contention, and then he took it upon himself. I think he hit 2 sixes, and I think he ended up undefeated, and he scored quite a bunch of runs and what made his team win. Ultimately, those are the things that we will remember. Is those teams, which the games which I remember a quote by Roger Federer the other day, where he was asked the most memorable match of his career, and he said the most memorable match. Did you hear that comment?
No, I haven't heard it.
Okay, the most memorable match of his career was not some championship which he won, the Wimbledon final, the first Wimbledon final, or beating Nadal at some place, or the French Open. You would have thought that the French Open would have been probably right up there, because after all, that was the elusive title. He said his most memorable match was beating Pete Sampras. Beating Pete Sampras, and I think it was the fourth round of Wimbledon. And Sampras was the king, was the king, or the semifinals of Wimbledon, I think it was. It was the semifinals of Wimbledon, and he beat Pete Sampras in 5 sets. And so he said, Pete was my hero, and beating Pete on grass at Wimbledon in center court, and that being the first match I played in center court in my life, that made it the most memorable match of this thing. So my point being that, ultimately, when we look back, when we retire, we are going to remember some of these special key moments, kind of a thing.
Yep, absolutely. I think you're spot on that. Those are the special moments when you actually beat a big team or you perform against some of the best. Those are things that you remember the most. We will go into Division 1, but while we go there, I did want to, maybe make a passing comment on Spartans. I mean, Spartans have definitely somehow, towards the end of their this season, somehow got their act together, and they're looking really good. Now they are in sixth.
Can you show that table again, Parthiv, once more? Because you know what? I am very proud of the Spartans. I am so thrilled, because I did not even give them one victory this year, all right? And I felt that they had no chance, and I was picking against them. But somewhere, after 4-5 games, I started jumping on their bandwagon, because you know what I felt? Our friend, the Spartan skipper, had managed to turn his season around. He brought in Akshay 18, he brought in a few people. Whatever it is, you have to give credit to a man who turns the season around. I have only absolute respect for somebody who does that, I mean, from where they were, where I thought that they didn't have a chance, to where they are right now, I give all the credit in the world to the skipper. It is the skipper who holds that unit together. It could have been so easy to have folded and died, but refused to fold up and die. And what a fantastic effort by the Spartan skipper.
Absolutely. And I think it's the reversal of fortune between them and the KRCC. I think KRCC was the team that we were expecting to be where Spartan is, or maybe even higher at the start of the season, and they've been totally lost. They started a couple of with the wins, and then after that, Tejas was out, and we all thought, maybe Tejas comes back and revives this season, but it hasn't happened. Even with the arrival of Tejas, KRCC definitely don't look anywhere close to a playoff team. So I'll be very surprised from here if they get into playoffs. But Spartans definitely have a very, very good chance if things go in their favor. Agni is behind them. They still have a couple of games. Spartans themselves have a game, and then Vikings also a point in front of them. So anything can happen between these three teams. But these last, I think they've got 3 out of the 4 games that they won. That gives them a very good fighting chance. So definitely reviving their season in just the nick of time. All right, that is all that we'll cover for Division 2. Let's sneak into Division 1. We start off with Hawks versus Fighters. And I think we probably everyone picked Fighters on this in this game.
No, Parthiv, I picked
Hawks.
You picked
Hawks. Yes, I remember. You picked,
I picked Hawks because We played fighters, and I felt that their batting was a little suspect. That was just my feeling. Of course, they scored 125 on us, so you'll say, "How in the world did you think that the batting was a little suspect?" But I mainly because I just felt Sai had a good game. But if Sai doesn't perform, then what happens? Kind of a thing. And I felt the Hawks bowling was good. I genuinely felt the Hawks bowling was good, but. Having played both of them, and I felt that we didn't have the right personnel against fighters. But nevertheless, I thought Hawks can probably win this game. But the Hawks batting, which I thought was probably a little bit of their strong point, well, that's been coming croppers, and they have not been getting the job done. So bad loss for Hawks is what I would say.
Absolutely. And I think Hawks, a couple of seasons ago, rode on Gola Murray's back. I mean, he was the standout performer for them. But ever since that season, he hasn't lived up to his name and reputation, which we had built up. And obviously, Hawks rely on their
This
captain.
this game, I don't think he played. I don't remember seeing his name there.
No, he didn't play. But
okay.
No, he hasn't played. But throughout the season, I haven't seen a standout performance from him. Maybe an innings here and an innings there, but nothing of note that we've seen from him. I think
that season was a magical season for him. So we are comparing it against an all-time high, probably. And so it's probably going to suffer in comparison. But he played against us, and I don't know, he looked a little anxious getting off the mark and being a little more ultra-aggressive, but that may be the Glad's effect more than anything else, where you feel that you have to score more runs than you probably should have to score. But I still felt he's a very good player. But where we are also missing is he's probably not bowling as much as he was bowling before. He was a rock-solid bowler where 5 overs he was going for very less runs, and most of the wickets were either bowled or LBW. That's probably not happening. And now Naresh Arcot has taken over as their number 1 bowler. So at least this season, you can very clearly say that Naresh is their top man on the bowling front. And then, and the batting front also, yeah. But they've had a lot of good batsmen. I'm not sure why they are not performing. That's a different question.
Yeah. And I think with this, and Naresh is not only just performing, he's at the top of the table. So he's been a standout performer for Hawks, and as a bowler in DCL currently with Ronnie, he is at the top of the bowling standings there. But yes, I mean, coming back to Hawks, I think this win was something that they would be. They would have been looking forward, because I think that would have at least helped them to put at least be in Division 1. But now that with this defeat, I think they are looking more likely to go into Division 2, provided Troy Hawks don't mess it up. I mean, if Troy Hawks mess it up from here, then Hawks would still breathe in Division 1. But from what it looks like, since Troy Hawks play Canton Hurricanes, which hasn't won a game, it looks more likely that Hawks might drop to position 9 instead of 8, which they currently are. So lots to play for in the next couple of weeks for Hawks, Troy Hawks, both the teams.
Yeah, Parthu, I feel that Hawks have one more game against GLCC to avoid relegation, and that's not an easy game, right? To beat GLCC. So Hawks have a tough road ahead. But Praveen, Nikhil Pasula, Shashank, Naresh Arcot, all are capable batsmen, but they are not. They are all underperforming. That's my opinion. They did not even bat 25 overs, which is something they have done in the past. They have made it an objective to bat 25 overs. But then when you come to this game, you find that they did not bat 25 overs. Coming to the fighters, I think Mahendra Burreddy is absolutely a beast of a bowler. I mean, that's what I felt when Glad's played him. And of their bowlers, he was the one to impress me the best good pace, was very impressive. Anil Balreddy had a fantastic outing this time. 3.3 overs, 10 runs, 3 wickets. He was the pick of the bowlers in this game. And the old war horse, Parthav, you'll remember this guy, Shrikant. He was there, 4 overs, 1 maiden, 7 runs, 1 wicket. It's
Oh
these are
yeah,
the same figure. These are the same
Dhoni.
figures I used to remember when he used to play for Falcons, and then he started playing for other teams. It's all the same Srikant Gauni. He
Yep.
still performs the same kind of figures. But Anil Balreddy had a fantastic outing with the bat, 225 runs in 40 balls with 2 boundaries, and Suhesh Ravi at 21 and 36. If you ask me, clinical win by the fighters. But let me ask you
Hmm.
a question. I already told you my take that I feel the batting of the fighters is a little suspect. That's my take on it. But let me ask you this: how far do you think the fighters will go? Assuming, this is assuming they make the playoffs. In my books, they
Hmm.
make the playoffs, but
Yep.
I'm just asking how far do you think they will go?
I think this season they haven't been the fighters of last season. I think last year they had a really good season. Is on the backs of our Mahesh Babu. I think he was really performing day in and day out. I think his performance has not been at that peak, and I think with the even with the arrival of Ravi Tej Pujari, their batting looks a little suspect. So I probably don't expect them to go beyond uh, quarters. I mean that's the best case scenario. Even the pre-quarters is going to be tough, depending because they are going to be towards the end of the table. They're going to probably play the likes of like Indus, something like Stars or Detroit Bulls. Uh, or even Pokiris for that matter, depending on where Indus Thunders and Pokiris go. So it's going to be tough for them to beat one of the top teams, looking at where they are in the table. So, but playoffs, anything can happen. But I don't really see them, going beyond like maybe a upset is what they achieve, but I don't think they're going beyond quarters.
Didn't they play Bulls last year in the playoffs and then reach the semifinals where they lost to Pokeries?
I
I
think
thought
so.
that
I think
was
you might, yeah.
so. You might see the same repeat if Bulls end up at the
Mhm.
number 3 spot, and
Yep.
if Fighters end up at 6, you could see 3 versus 6, and Fighters will probably say that it's a repeat of last year's playoff spot all over again.
Yep.
I'm
I
just
mean,
I'm just throwing that out.
that can happen because even Detroit Bulls, remember, this has been a standout season for them as well. So they are in kind of an unfamiliar territory as well because over the years Detroit Bulls have been a great team, but they haven't been at the top of the table. This is new to them as well. So it's going to be whether they get used to this playoffs where they are going in as favorites for a change. So it's going to be
Mm.
a different scenario. All
Anyway,
right, let's
let's see.
go to the next game. The next game is probably the game of the week or the game of the weekend, I would say. Raptors versus SLCC Legends. Obviously, we expected like the Glads GLCC and Titans KRCC to be, one of those showcase game of the weeks. But I think this was probably the way it shaped up. Low scoring thriller. SLCC Legends. That six of. What is that guy's name? I keep Guru Naga. I think seesaw battle that six. I thought SLCC had could just sneak in, but then he got out and Raptors were able to clinch it. So it was a very very tight game. I'm pretty sure for people who were there or have witnessed it, must be a great spectacle to see bat and ball. I mean, especially the ball dominate. I mean, the fall of wickets towards the end, SLCC Legends. I think the batting just crumbled. Praveen gave them a good start, and then Guru Naga towards the end probably got them to a place where they thought they could snatch it again. But it was just great bowling and fielding by Raptors. If you look at the accuracy of, there were 6 or 7 clean bowls from Raptors, which means they've been hitting the stumps so regularly. And I felt like this game and this win definitely puts Raptors in a very very good position now with in Division One, because I think at one stage they were at the very bottom, almost bottom of of their group. But this win, I think, puts them in a very good chance now, with one game remaining to go and compete for playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Parthiv, again, we talked about this close games and Raptors winning quite a bunch of close games. I mean,
Mhm.
sometimes I wonder, I always felt that Botta had ice cold water running in his veins. So now
Mhm.
I wonder whether the entire Raptor team has a little bit of ice cold water, which we wouldn't. In the past, the knock against Raptors has been that, in critical games, they disappear. But somehow, this season, when you look at it, the Raptors against Legends, 73 runs, and Legends scored 70. Close game, right? I mean, Raptors pull
Mhm.
it out. Raptors against MCC Miles, once again, 103 for 7, beat 100 for 10. Again, a 3-run
Right.
game. These 3-run games have both gone to Raptors. Stars versus Raptors was a close game, but then that one, the Stars pulled it out, and that was one game where the Raptors were not able to pull it out. Raptors versus KRCC, 97 for 8, beat 96 for 10. Again, winning by
Mhm.
1 run. So I think this game was, again, Botta was brilliant. So let's call him Brilliant Botta. He was the Raptor wall. But he
Yep.
got good support in the bowling department from Harsha Yaluri. I think Harsha Yaluri has been having a fantastic season with
Mhm.
the ball so
Yeah.
far. Legends, we always think of them as disciplined bowling attack, but in this game they gave off 10 wides, and then Harish was culprit number one in that, in that department. Again, I think Guru and Praveen really did a wonderful job with the bat. But if you ask me, the Legends batting is a little suspect, and once again it got exposed here. But again, let me ask you this question: how far will Legends go? Again, another team where I feel that the batting is a little suspect.
Again, I think Legends. I think if they have their uh, team together, I mean, if they have Harish and Praveen and Shrikant Narne, Guru Naga, I think all of them. I think I see them giving a really good fight. Again, they will be pitted against one of the top teams in Group A. So it might be the likes of KRCC or Titans, one of those, or GLCC, even one of those teams that they'll face off. So it's going to be a tough one. I think SLCC, I give SLCC Legends a better chance than Fighters to go a little longer. I mean, we might see them in the quarters or maybe even the semis if things go according to plan. But again, this SLCC Legends team has been uh, like Raptors. I think coming to playoffs, somehow they find a way to lose it. They haven't been the team. I remember one season, I think they were unbeaten or close to unbeaten going into playoffs, and then suddenly, come playoffs, they lose the first game in the pre-quarterfinals. And I think it's happened a few times. It's not just once, but they haven't been able to deliver in the playoffs. So, that's one thing that they would want their monkey off their back.
Oh, Parthiv, I remember that year. I think that is the year Glads lost to Strikers. We were the
Yes.
overall number one seed, and Legends was the overall number two seed. And you had the
Yeah.
pre-quarterfinals, and
Oh, yes.
Glads lost to Strikers, and Legends lost to, you know who? Durga Prasad and Company. That year they were called a different team. They were called Kings
Right.
11, if I'm not mistaken.
Kings 11. Kings 11. Yes.
Yeah, and Kings 11 was basically Durga Prasad and Company, right? And
That's
so
correct. Yep.
that's exactly what it was. So it came a full circle. But yeah, I mean, but Raptors have one game left, and that is against
Mhm.
Bulls.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, if you
so
see the
uh,
table, like from 4 to 8, it's very, very tight, and we know Dynamites are still in the chance. Uh,
Parthiv, I think Dynamites make the playoffs.
oh wow, that is a bold prediction.
Because Dynamites, their next two games, I mean, one is against Stars, all right, which
Yep,
is this weekend.
and
And
then
then I
Legend.
think after that, Legends. But guess what, Parthiv? For Dynamites,
Mhm.
you are having Nauman Anwar come all the way from Houston
Wow,
to play the game. All right. just to play the Dynamite game. Now, somebody asked me this question: where else are you seeing that kind of hunger? And don't you think eventually these PSL players will get their act together and maybe
Mm,
propel Dynamites into the playoffs? So I
mhm.
still think it's not all done for Vijay and company, and maybe these guys might still pull off the magic. I'm not sure. We'll see.
Wow, that is a very bold prediction. And I mean, I don't think I completely would say that's not going to be ever possible. That there is definitely a chance. Dynamites, the way they've been pulling their team together and the last few games, really, I mean, I could see them beating legends and stars for that matter. But things are really tight between 4 to 8, and a win here or an upset there can really turn the table upside down. So, and especially Miles
Partha,
too.
my Miles are playing against Thunders. That's not an easy game,
Oh yes,
So Miles are playing against Thunders. So at this point, it's very difficult to
the only
foresee
only
them.
team the only team that has a slight easier route is Legends. Legends, yes, they play Dynamites, but they also play, I think, FCC.
FCC, yes, yes,
Yep. So I think, you know, just on paper, you would expect them to beat FCC quite easily. So that
yes.
would get them into, get them the 5 points, 31, and then, they'll be at least at a better position than some of the other teams, which have some big teams to play with.
Do we know why Ravi Teja hasn't played for Stars the last couple of games or whatever it is? I mean, does anybody know the answer?
Yeah, I think we are missing our Khabri,
The insider?
the insider. We're missing him today. I'm pretty sure he knows why. But yes, I think he's missing, and I think a couple of like Deepak also didn't play this weekend. So there
Yeah.
were quite a few people that were missing in the Stars unit. But I don't know. Maybe it's the 40 playoffs that people were running to. That might be the reason. Uh, but we'll see.
No, Parthiv,
But
I
I'm
haven't seen. I haven't seen either of those two guys in any F40 lineup.
hmm. Then
So,
yeah, not sure.
so I don't know where they are.
All right. We will have to ask the question to KK when he comes back, or maybe offline if he's hearing this somehow. Maybe he can answer that question. All right. Let's go to the next game of that weekend. I'll scroll down. All right. It is actually MCC Miles, the team that we were just talking about, against FCC. And what a scramble this was. I mean, I remember you were talking about FCC actually going ahead and beating MCC Miles at one stage with the way FCC had started, especially the batting. Yes, 90 was a slightly tall order against MCC, but MCC I think have themselves to blame after the start and the innings that Abhilash played. There was absolutely no one that supported him. I mean, if you see 90 out of the 90, 41 was scored by Abhilash, but the rest of them all folded single digits. And I'm pretty sure Sanjay would be very disappointed with the outcome of their batting after 25 overs. I'm pretty sure against FCC would fancy yourselves, and especially the famed MCC Miles batting lineup that they boast about, getting out at 90. And then FCC made a real dash at this. I mean, Nishant played an outstanding innings. I think he kept the innings together. He and Pratik, got them to a place where I think it was that time that we saw your message that FCC could actually, cause an upset. But after that, once one of these guys got out, I think Pratik got out or Nishant got out. Sorry, I think after that it was, pretty much an MCC Miles game. But all in all, I
Yeah,
think a very, very important victory for Miles, because otherwise this would have really put the cat amongst the pigeons. I mean, they would have been on the verge of getting out of playoffs at that stage if FCC had pulled this off.
Parthiv, I think there are a few things which we might not be seeing on the scorecard. One is
Hmm.
Abhilash played this game, scored that 41 runs in 48 balls. He was the difference maker in the game. But I also remember that I was also monitoring the Mishka scorecard. And sure enough,
Hmm.
after this game batting, he went to play Mishka, which means that
Oh.
FCC probably was batting, but there were only 10 fielders on MCC Miles on the ground. All right, which
Hmm.
probably also explains why FCC was able to take advantage of that situation and score runs at will. And as
Hmm.
long as Nishant was there, this game was firmly in FCC's control, because when I texted
Hmm.
in our group, they
Yep.
were in control. In fact, I remember they were what, 52 for 4 in 11.2.
Right.
52 for 4, and you need only what, another 38 runs, and you
Hmm.
have about 13, 14 overs left. So you would think that at that point, FCC is in the driver's seat. But I think the problem started once Nishant got out, and then the other person also got out. I think it's Pratik who got out. Then all of a sudden there was no other person to put up their hands and deliver the stuff, and give credit to Brahma to hold his nerves and manage to get Sujan out and get the win. But at the end of the day, if I'm not mistaken, FCC got the bonus in this one. I don't think Miles got the bonus. I do
Right.
think this was a much closer game than the Miles skipper would have liked it to be. But I think Nishant is the one who should get the credit. He really took the game to Miles. And I remember when I texted it, Satya said,
Hmm.
please don't text, because the last time you texted, FCC lost a wicket. So after that, I stopped I stopped texting, because I didn't want to jinx anybody. But somewhere in between, they lost a plot. I think Sanjay and Deepak Kuniyal did the damage to blow FCC out of the water and off course
Hmm.
in this game. So they didn't perform with the bat, but with the ball they did perform. So credit MCC Miles, they made their life a little easier. But it should be an interesting next game too.
MCC Miles is another one which, in the playoffs, is a very, very unpredictable team. But another team that I don't really see them going beyond like pre-quarters and quarters, because I think, yes, they have the uh, probably the potential to upset any team on a day, but to go all the way to win the trophy or come to the finals, you need 3 or 4 good days, which doesn't happen. Uh, you need consistency in playing day in and day out good cricket, which I think is not what Miles is famous for. Miles on a day can beat anyone, but just like I would say, legends or fighters, I don't think they are going to be taking that all the way. Teams like, we'll talk about Pokiris. Pokiris is another team that they play just consistent winning cricket. I mean, they know how to seize the moments, and that's what basically differentiates the likes of Thunders and Pokiris and Glads and those teams, because they know how to win and seize those moments. I think MCC Miles, Fighters, even Titans, when we talk about it, they're going to be in a new situation themselves as well. They need probably to get to that place.
Partha, see, here is the thing. I think the only place where I disagree with you is, if I was given a choice, I don't want to play MCC Miles, because
Yeah,
I know they have difference makers who can take the game away from me. All they
right.
need is for the game to go in. Now, if you ask me a different question, do you think MCC Miles will win the championships, or do you think Pokiris will win the championship? My
Hmm.
vote would be firmly in Pokiris camp. But if it is
Right.
a one game knockout, and you ask me, well, do you want to play this team or some other team? I'll say I don't want to play MCC Miles, because I don't know. Maybe Sanjay Elangovan gets up on the right side of the
Yeah,
bed, and
right.
Rahul Chenna gets into one of those zombie zones where he can't miss a ball, and every ball starts flying outside the park, like I remember it flying out of the park 2 years ago. Or Abhilash comes and decides he's just going to be Superman. Just too many variables that I cannot count, because most teams you can get rid of one or two people and you can say, okay, I am now in the driver's seat.
Right.
Somehow I never get that feeling when we play MCC Miles, because, well, it's one guy after the other, and they all on their given day can take the game away from you. So you have to
Hmm.
respect that. But now, consistency is a totally different ball game. That's
Yeah.
where Pokiris excel. That's where Indus
Yep.
Thunders excel, and that's where I think those teams have an edge when it
Yep.
comes to winning a championship. Now, that's where they'll consistently reach the semis, finals, and things like that. So, yeah, I'll agree
Yep.
on the championship portion of it. But if it's a one-game knockout, which it is what it is in the playoffs, yeah, I do not know which MCC miles I'm going to see.
Yep. All right. Let's go on to the next game. The next game was a pretty one-sided one, so there's not a lot we need to dissect and analyze. I think Troy Hawks have been a shadow of themselves in this season, and pretty much every team has pushed them over. Red Devils doing the same thing here. Troy Hawks electing to bat were only able to score like 49, and there was really, I mean, I was the umpire for this game, and I was keen on looking at Mustafa Malik. Unfortunately, got out cheaply because we are going to play them this weekend. But I really wanted to see him because he's been kind of at least their star performer this season, even though this season hasn't been anything to write home about. But even he didn't perform this, and then the batting just collapsed under the weight. I don't think Red Devils did anything special, to be honest. I mean, they were just just going through the motions. They weren't even trying too hard to get wickets. Troy Hawks just gave them the wickets on the plate, and then probably even in the batting, I felt that Red Devils probably took more time than they should have. 15 overs for 50. I think their opener was one of the reasons why it took so much time. He probably just batted. Maybe he was sent up the order just to give him a chance, but after.
Looks like we lost Partha. I'm just going to continue. I think as goes Mustafa Malik, so goes Troy Hawks. But when you score only 49 runs in 20.5 overs and you get 10 wides, that's not going to get the job done. I think Sachal and Satish, between them, they picked 5 wickets for 19 runs in 8 overs. But that was the ball game. I have to give kudos to Red Devils for making the playoffs for the second year in a row. I think, again, good management, good leadership there. But we'll have to wait and see how far Troy Hawks will they be able to stay in Division 1, or it all depends on what they do in the remaining games. But this was an easy win for Red Devils. They dominated this game from start to finish. So really nothing much to say other than congrats to Red Devils for the win. And let's move on to the next game. And I see Partha has joined back.
Yeah. Sorry for that glitch. But yes, let's go on to the next game. The next game is where I think we have a lot to talk about. I mean, this is definitely, I'm sure Gabaji will not agree. Here come the knives out.
The knives are out, baby. The knives are out.
Well, I will give you you the time and the stage before, but let me just quickly just put my couple of few points which I have. I mean, I think personally Gabaji would feel offended if I say that this is an upset, because the way the season has gone for Titans and the way they have performed, especially with the batting. I mean, we just talked about it last week that once Titans start scoring, once the batting starts clicking, it's going to be really tough for any team to beat them, and they are definitely going to be favorites if they continue to bat and keep scoring these consistent 19 above runs, because they have though that kind of a bowling, especially on this ball and especially in this on this wicket where the ball holds up. The likes of Parag, the likes of Ronnie, and even Gabaji himself, and Ophir. I mean, he's definitely one of the dark horses, but he's consistently picked wickets. Their bowling is perfectly suited for this kind of a wicket and bowling. So, sorry, the ball. So it's going to be really tough. But in this case, I think you can't really talk about this game and not talk about Praveen Dige. I was, back and forth going with Satish Gaba. I was just astounded by this innings. Is knowing the situation of the innings, a situation of the game, knowing the quality of opponent, And if you see the construct of this innings, 87 of 83, so it's a runner ball, almost runner ball, and with just two boundaries. And that's what got me really thinking, like, how did he run all these runs? Because he would, I'm pretty sure if I had done even half of these runs, you would have to call an ambulance and a stretcher to get me out of the ground, because running those runs in that hot sun in the 80s and 90s that we have frequently, it's going to be tough. So from there, Gabaji told us, gave us this famous screenshot of how DG has, peppered just need six twos. I'm sure you're going to talk about this more, but six twos out of the ground. That has probably never happened. I haven't seen it happen to any bowler. That is real quality cricket. I mean, I don't know whether just need what he was doing or why he couldn't change anything, because getting hit the same fashion six times in an over, that definitely would put any bowler in almost a depression, because and I think I agree with Gabaji. I would rather get hit two sixes or than get hit like six twos over the fence, because that is really frustrating, because you have no way of protecting that. And if he's hitting it so cleanly and there is no protection, it's almost a freebie. So you have to do something different, come around the wicket or something to stop that bleeding. And I don't know what if Jasneet tried it and didn't succeed, but really, I mean, hats off to Praveen, standout performer. I mean, the rest of the batting obviously didn't really need to do much, just rotate around it, and it did. I'm pretty sure the last few wickets were lost, trying to just get as many runs as possible towards the end. But after scoring that 117, Parag Karwade, he's that guy, and he and Ophir and Kalyan just choked the KRCC batting. At no stage was KRCC above the run rate, and I think Vihar's innings probably didn't help at all. I think that was a huge mistake. I don't know whether it was Jasneet's call or Yogi Bhai's call or whoever's call. I don't think when you're chasing 120 against Detroit Titans, you would want Vihar to be there. You need somebody who can rotate the strike at the least, or even go for the kill. I mean, go for taking the initiative, and that never happened. And after that, it was a struggle. I mean, I think KRCC just couldn't match up with the required run rate, always behind, and inconsistent bowling. I call them the chokers. Really, they choke the other side, the batting side, and that's what they did with KRCC. So very, very famous win for Detroit Titans. I'm sure Gawaji would have enjoyed this victory, sweet victory, especially considering half of Titans were part of KRCC before. So sweet revenge, as they would call it, or there was some things that he needed to prove, especially the way they broke off after winning the championship season. So definitely, I think that Gabaji made his point very, very clear, and it will be interesting to see how Titans now continue into playoffs, because as I mentioned earlier, it's going to be a very, very unfamiliar territory for them. Over to you, Viju. That's my assessment, but I'm
Yeah,
sure you're all waiting
Parthiv,
for this knife.
I have this knife ready. The knife has been sharpening, but this knife has been sharpening for, I don't know, 5 6 weeks. But that is for another guy. This knife has been sharpening, but I could use this sharp knife in this game too. And
In
I
this
think
game, they have hit 33 twos. I think that's
what is
more.
that?
They have hit 33 twos. Like,
Wow.
Yeah, 33 twos will kill you. So now here is the thing, Parthiv. Uh, Ever heard of rope dope?
No,
You have never heard of the term rope dope?
no, I don't think I've
It's
heard.
it's a it's a boxing terminology made
Okay.
famous made famous by Muhammad Ali. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm going to bring up this rope dope is I think Garba is okay. Garba was very upset. I won't say very upset, but he said, "You guys gave me such a hard time, and you took me to task the last week." You get my point, because when they lost
Ah,
to when they lost to GLCC, we said Gaba missed a trick, and we were not very kind with Gaba. We gave Gaba the business. We told Gaba all the mistakes that he made, and we highlighted them. Oh, but we always, I mean, if somebody gets something right, we always will give them the credit for that. Oh, when you get it wrong, even if you're one of us, we will give you the ribbing. That goes without saying. But nevertheless, so Gaba was like, you guys are so hard on me and so harsh on me and things like that. But you know what? The foundation for this victory started even before a single ball was bowled. Because if you go back and look at the previous week, you'll find that, surprise, surprise, Gaba, who never picks against his team, picked against KRCC. And basically, he was telling KRCC, you know what? We have no chance against you. But you know what? But privately, Gaba told us, yes, we all picked KRCC, but all of us are going to lose a point. We are going to win the game. All right. So this is what Gaba was telling us privately. Now, publicly, he picked KRCC to win the game. So this is all what KRCC sees, is that KRCC thinks they are the hands-on favorite, as does all of DCL, because all of DCL is saying that Gaba is picking against his own team. But privately, Gaba did say that he is going to beat KRCC and they're going to win the game. Now let's go back to the rope-a-dope analogy, because what Gaba did, whether he knew it or not, even Gaba probably has not heard of. If you haven't heard of rope-a-dope, I'm pretty sure Gaba has not heard of rope-a-dope.
I've not heard. No, I've not heard about the term, but I know now that I look it up, I know what you're talking about. The way Muhammad Ali moved in the ring.
Yes. So what was happening was, it was called, was it the Rumble in the Jungle or whatever it is? It was battle between, I think in 1974, between Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman. George Foreman was this bulky, huge, 6'8" He towered over Ali. He was unbeaten champion. He had the power to knock you out with a single punch. And for 15 rounds or whatever it was, or 12 rounds, 15 rounds, almost 13 or 14 rounds, all Muhammad Ali did was lean against the rope. Foreman throws a punch, he goes back, leans against it. The punch doesn't have the effect because the rope acts as an elastic and takes some of the power of the punch away. And all you needed to do is have a strong chin, because there might be one punch which comes through and your jaw should be able to take it. So sure enough, for almost 13 or 14 rounds, Muhammad Ali tired George Foreman out. All the cards had George Foreman winning. And in the last 1.5 rounds, Ali then, Foreman is tired. Ali just turned on the jets. And the next thing you know, Foreman gets knocked out. That is called the rope-a-dope strategy. And that's exactly what our friend Gaba employed in this game. Publicly, he said KRCC is going to win. Privately, he was telling us in our group, hey, we are going to knock KRCC out. And there was much riding on this game, because guess what? Yogi Bhai was outside cheering his team on, thinking that he will allow Jasneet to lead and he will take himself out of the game, because that is how badly they wanted to win this game. They brought all their guns they had at their disposal. They brought them on. Gaba, sure enough, came in with his own reinforcements. They met and the battle was joint. And eventually, when we look at it, Gaba and company won a royal battle. But this whole thing, if you ask me, Parthiv, I do not know if you saw the game. I saw the game live, because Glad's game was in the afternoon and these guys were playing in the morning, and Gaba was streaming it. So I was watching Praveen Dige's innings until the live streaming stopped. It froze up and that was the end of it, and I couldn't see anymore. But whatever I saw of Praveen Dige, I'll tell you, it is the single greatest innings of DCL 2024. I am willing to sign my name and put my name. It is the single greatest innings of DCL 2024. If you ask me, In fact, it is probably one of the greatest T-ball innings ever played. Now, I agree that Rahul Channa's innings was a fantastic innings, okay? He chased down 195 and scored a century in the process. I still rate that as a fabulous innings. That is, you can't even have one step wrong. But this one is against probably what we consider the best bowling attack in DCL. When they have all their bowlers, they are probably, you know, I mean, at the preseason, we said that they are probably number one in the bowling department.
Right.
87 out of 83. Go and look at overs number 4.1 through 4.6. 6 balls straight. Jasneet bowls, and all 6 of them went to the offside 2-run boundary. All right.
Wow.
I mean, that is the safest shot in DCL. The safest shot in DCL is the offside. But you need to have the skill to do it. Not everybody has the skill to do it. You ask me to do it, I can't do it. But there are some guys in my team, whether it is Arjun Ajbani or Anup Bokhare, they are very effortlessly, they can hit that offside shot. Praveen Dige, I saw his shots, clean, effortless shots. I mean, whatever the bowler bowled, gone. And that had to be so frustrating because that would have, you should have seen Jasneet's face. I mean, he had no clue. And Gaba brought the same point up too, that, you know, Jasneet was frustrated and just totally clueless as to what he can do, because basically Dige took the ball out of his hand. You know, his bat did all the talking and there was nothing. And so, you know what, Parthiv, I keep coming up with names, and now I have to give this Dige guy a name. And I'm going to call him the Black Mamba of DCL 2024. He's the Black Mamba, Parthiv. And the Black Mamba, Parthiv, what a game he had. The Black Mamba really, you know, struck venomously and absolutely decimated KRCC. I think Sahesh, Shivpal and Vihar had okay outings. All I can say is they are okay. But they, you know, fade into insignificance under the brilliance of Praveen Dige. The others in KRCC were dismal. All right, Kalyan, if you ask me with the ball, he rocked KRCC. All right, Ophir took all the important wickets. Kalyan and Ophir rocked KRCC. And in fact, KRCC, when they got rocked, I have to now name them the Knocked Rocked Cricket Club. KRCC becomes the Knocked Rocked Cricket Club. All right. That's how badly they were knocked and rocked in this game. And, you know, I don't know, last year we saw all this Pichwada comments going on in one of those Detroit Premier League, and that was sent all over in social media, and lots of people were commenting on it left, right, and center. I got so many comments, even though I'm 10,000 miles away. All these videos kept streaming out to me. Gaba and Jasneet were in the heat of battle. 2 guys who cannot stand each other. Let's call it for what it is. But in this year, Gaba did a rope-a-dope, and do you have that video which I asked you to cut in this thing? I would like you to play that, because you know, Gaba was very upset that we were very hard on him. Well, this week we are very, very generous in our praise of him because he did a fantastic job. But let me tell you, Parthiv, after the rope-a-dope, it was time for celebration, and he was celebrating big time. And last time I heard Parthiv, he was having a big party on Saturday, and that party did not stop on Saturday. It went into Sunday and probably even went on Monday. I have to check with Gaba whether he showed up for work on Monday. I have a feeling he did not show up for work because he was partying like this. Can you play the video?
Absolutely.
Or, yeah, please play the video in favor of. All right, here we go. Yeah, party shuru hui hai, baby. Party shuru hui hai. Abhi tak party shuru hui hai. Yep, Gaba was celebrating. I have a feeling that Gaba did not show up for work on Monday morning. All right, and I'll have to ask him privately whether he showed up for work. But this was a solid win for Gaba and company, especially for Gaba, because he really, really wanted to beat Jasneet, hands down, pats down after last year's incident. And he had this game circled. and he did the rope-a-dope, and he had a very clear idea what he was going to do. It was not just this was the tactician at work. And remember, long back I told you that I respected Gaba for one thing, because I heard him do commentating before, and I like the insights that he brought. And it is not an accident that he is on top of the. I think he's only 1 point behind Vicky and who's Raghu. I think he's only 1 point. He's way ahead of us in the analyst race. He is the analyst of the year, without a doubt. And there is a reason for that. He has a very sharp brain, and I'll give him credit for that. And he knows. Oftentimes, he's able to look at a game and analyze things and see things which others are probably not seeing. So whenever he says something, I actually pay a lot of good attention to it, because he outfoxed Jasneet in this hands down, pants down. He ran circles around him. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but obviously KRCC were missing a couple of their players. But one thing that I was really curious about is why didn't Sahesh bowl? That was very, very shocking, because I know Sahesh is a quality bowler, and his 5 overs are a given for KRCC. So him not bowling and opening the batting, I mean, there's something wrong with it. I mean, I'm not sure what happened, why Jasneet didn't use Sahesh. And second, and then the other one was when you have Mufasir, why wouldn't you start with him? I mean, if not start, at least give him the first spell. He was brought on pretty late in the, like, almost like after 8 or 9, 10 overs.
Parthu, I think their strategy is to bring Mufasir later on into this thing to completely shut down the opposition, because by then, if you haven't scored much runs, their logic is you can't hit Mufasir, and so that 5 overs of Mufasir is not going to go for much runs, and that Mufasir will come and shut down, and you wouldn't have scored anything. And but apparently we have a answer to the question as to why did Sahesh not bowl. Apparently he has a shoulder injury, is what our friend. Well, I don't want to say who said it, but anyway, that's the information which has come through, right? Live information which come through.
Yep, that probably, at least makes sense, because that is the only thing that I can think about is why Sahesh wouldn't have bowled. The injury, or if he had to leave. But then when I looked at the scorecard, he opens the batting, so doesn't make sense. But yeah, injury is the only reason I can think about why Sahesh won't bowl in a KRCC lineup. But yeah, to be honest, I think this win definitely, all credit to Praveen Dige and Gabaji for his shrewd captaincy. I think the way he used his bowlers was outstanding as well. He used Parag and Ophir really, really intelligently. And Ronnie, obviously, his go-to guy. Even though Ronnie went for runs, I think he always gets wickets. So that helped. But I think it was a clinical performance. But the question I have for you is, now that the Titans are in a familiar situation where they're now at the top of the table, and most likely, if things go well this weekend, they'll probably stay there at the top, and so an automatic qualification into the quarterfinals. Do you see them going beyond the quarterfinals?
You asked a very tough question, Partha, because my problem with Titans is, I think come playoff time, even if you look at this game, it's Praveen Dige who scored the runs, right?
Yep.
Now, if you take Praveen Dige's innings out, then what is the rest of the team scoring? So this is where the thing is. I think Titans are in a better position this year compared to last year. They are a tougher team to beat this year than last year, because last year Dige was still getting acclimatized to this ball, and they did not have Kalyan. So this year they have Kalyan. So there are 2 guys. But having said that, last year Gaba was performing at a higher level with the bat. This year Gaba's performance with the bat is not up to the same mark as last year. All right. So at this point, I still feel the same problem I have with fighters, the same problem I have with a couple of these other teams where or legends and things like that. Where is the batting coming from? Because at the end of the day, the team which scores more runs wins the game. That's what I tell Satya all the time. Just focus on the runs, because that's what is going to decide who wins the game. I mean, so that's the problem I have. And at the same time, I think it would be grossly unfair to give Gaba and company the credit they deserve. I honestly feel all season long, every Tom, Dick, and Harry, including analysts on this show, who I'm prepared to call as a Tom, Dick, and a Harry, have been kind of disrespecting the Titans, and I've not been giving them the proper respect that they deserve. Remember, they beat Glads. Remember, they beat Stars. Remember, they beat KRCC. Now, that is a who is who of DCL, all right? The only team they have not beaten is Indus, but that's because they did not play Indus, right? So now the question then becomes, hey, can we now turn around and then say that, this is a fluke? No, I don't think you can say that. I mean, I think their bowling has been doing well. Somebody or the other on the batting end has been doing it. Will that translate into playoffs? That's uncharted territory. But they will go in as the number one seed from Pool A, is my calculation. I don't think anybody is overhauling them in the number one this thing. I doubt it, but I could be wrong. I haven't really looked at it, but I think they will go in as the number one seed. But now I am very sure on the other side, there will be teams who will say, okay, we would rather play Titans than probably play KRCC. All right. Now, this is where I think this is where a little bit of disrespect is happening. And I don't think that is right. But having said that, I think Gaba is a very smart guy. He will learn from whatever mistake he made in GLCC, and is one of the shrewdest cookies in the business. And if you don't think so, you are stupid. That's what I would say. And so I still would like to make that call only after seeing who they are playing in the quarterfinal. All right. They are not going to be playing the pre-quarterfinal. They will be quarterfinal. The other thing, Parthiv, I want to worry about is when you have a week of rest, you can practice as much as you want, but game day is game day. You can't recreate that in any kind of practice environment. So how will that all translate? All of a sudden, you had this rest and you go in. In the past, we have found that we kind of when we had this rest, it didn't really work out in our favor. But that's us.
Yep, it's going to be really interesting. I think we've talked about it. There are quite a few teams which are in this situation where suddenly now they find themselves favorites going into playoffs, which is, uncharted territory for them. So, yes, I think this weekend is going to be, against Strikers. As I mentioned, they are already through to the playoffs and the quarterfinals. I don't think looking at the table, anybody is going to challenge that. But there's a lot for us to play. So hopefully Gabaji is kind to us and takes it a little easy.
Let me ask you. Yeah, so here is the thing. I think Naresh Arakat, you said, is leading in wickets, but I think Naresh Arakat has a problem because the moment he is out of the playoffs and he stops taking any wickets. So that is game, set, and match advantage to Ronnie Patel because his team is going to be in the playoffs, and as long as they keep progressing, he's going to be adding to that tally and probably ends up with the best bowler award. But yeah, I mean, if Naresh Arakat doesn't make the playoffs, his tally is going to come to a full stop.
Yep. I think Ronnie and Vicky, I think both of them have a very good chance. In that, depending on who goes. Obviously, we expect Pokiris to go a long way, so Vicky will definitely have a decent chance. He's like 4 or 5 wickets away from Ronnie right now, so he still has a few games to catch up on. So expect one of these guys to top the table at the end. All right, let's go to the next game. It's the Pokiris versus Dynamites. The game that I think, again, like Titans KRCC, if we have to call it like the Derby, this was another one. And we talked about it. There were a lot of ex Pokri players which have moved to Dynamites, and then a lot of ex Dynamites players who have moved to Pokri. So there is a lot of players that have switched sides. And when they took on, I think Dynamites were giving Pokris quite a bit of a headache at the start. I think with the likes of Akhtar and Hassan, and their pace battery, which is suddenly is the talk of the town in DCL. Their bowling was impressive, but it was only, I think, Satish Mani's innings. I think toward the end, those 16 runs. I know it doesn't look a lot, but I felt those 16 runs got Pokiris to a place where, again, that magical 80-90 mark, which starts looking fairly big once you start chasing. I think without his innings, that 19, and the way he dominated, I mean, if you look at it, 16 of 19 balls with 1 4 and 1 6, I felt was very crucial. The way Pokris ended their innings and the momentum that they carried into their bowling was very crucial. We always knew that Dynamite's batting was not as strong as their bowling, but I think Venkat, I think, was a standout performer. He, kept the innings going. If he had another partnership down the middle and the lower order, I think that would have made a difference. But I think this is what the problem is with the Dynamites. I think they've invested or put all their eggs into one basket. It's like bowling, which they have recruited, but I don't think, apart from Noman, I don't think they have any batting to talk about. I think the others are fairly, I would say, bowlers only. So there's not much contribution from them with the bat, uh, and hence I think Dynamites, even only if they get others out for a low score, that's the only chance they have to win the game. But as we talked about, they are still with an outside chance. They have 2 games remaining. Both games are going to be tough, but they still have a chance. But all in all, I think this was a great game for Pokiris. I think they further cement their place in the going into the playoffs. And as I've stated many times on this show, definitely my favorite to win DCL 2024 this season. So, I mean, between Thunders and Pokiris right now, there's 1 and 2. But really, to be honest, I would put Pokiris above Thunders at this stage. The way they've been playing their cricket, yeah. So, yeah, Viju, your comments here.
Well, Parthiv, I'm sure you saw the movie Batman, and there is in one of the
Yep.
Batman movies, the Joker is the main villain.
Yeah.
And the Joker asks the question, what happens when the unstoppable force, and the Joker referred to himself as the unstoppable force. So he asks the question, what happens when the unstoppable force meets the immovable object? And
Yep.
the immovable
Heard that.
object being Batman, all right? If you ask me, in this battle between Pokiris and Dynamites are the unstoppable force because they brought the entire cavalry out of PSL for this game. Norman Anwar left everything and flew all the way from Houston, came to play this game specifically to teach Pokiris a lesson because the PSL pride had been hurt and it had been bruised in the DPL finals. And guess who was the skipper of the DPL finals team which won the championship? It was our good friend Ranjit Palaniswamy. And so Ranjit Palaniswamy needed to be taught a lesson, Parthiv. And so also Vignesh, Saran and Arun all needed to be taught a lesson. And so the only problem in this is someone forgot to tell them to come prepared to learn a lesson. So these guys did not come prepared to learn a lesson. And sure enough, the Pokiris, who are the immovable object, refused to budge and refused to move. They refused to move from the top of the standings where they have been occupying it with some degree of ease. Arun Tinakaran, if you ask me, had a good game. Gautam Radhakrishnan had a slow game. And Satish Mani had a fabulous game. So a good game, a slow game, and a fabulous game. Now, why do I say it was a fabulous game? It is not just the 16 runs and 19 balls. He also had one stumping, and he also was part of a crucial run out. So that makes it a fabulous game. The immovable object refused to move from the top of the standings. And so eventually the unstoppable force eventually saw that the force was not with them any longer. Pokiris with bonus. And Pokiris, if you ask me, poked the Dynamites, Partha. They poked the Dynamites in all the wrong places. All right. As you can see this is very good at poking. And sure enough, they poked the Dynamites in all the wrong places. And in the process, I had Dynamites winning the game because I suspected the entire cavalry from PSL will come for this game. And I thought, you know what? These guys have played enough DCL, and maybe by this time, maybe the game which Vijay wants to win at all costs more than any other game probably might eventually go in Vijay's favor. Well, that was not to happen. So I got poked too. That's what happens for picking against the Pokiris. So I would say congrats to Pokiris. Good job. Fantastic win against a top quality opponent. They should feast upon it. And they should also party with Gaba. And say, "Abhi to party shuru hui hai." Simple as that. They are in a good place. I think they are one of the favorites in my book to win DCL. I only said one of the favorites. They are not necessarily the number one favorite, but they are one of the favorites. But they have a very outstanding team, which is playing top quality cricket.
Yep. And talking about top quality cricket, it is the next game, the Thunders Hitmen. I think Thunders is another team that you associate with top quality cricket, and between them and Pokiris, it's a toss up between 1 and 2. 1 point separates the two. And even when they played, it was a tie. So even the the games that played, we couldn't decide. In this case, I think Hitmen, unfortunately, towards the end of their season, are tasked with playing Thunders, and then next week they play Pokiris. So it isn't going to be any easy going into the end of the season. And they, along with the other team, FCC, I think they are looking into going into Division 2, because I don't expect them to beat Pokiris next weekend. So between FCC and Hitmen, I think it's between these two teams that both. I mean, I think both of them will go into Division 2. But in this game, I think it was pretty straightforward for Indus Thunders. Put the score on the board, which they did, 112, courtesy of Manoj and Ronak. But it was the extras that killed it, first of all, for Hitmen. And then if Ronak doesn't get you with the bat, he got you with the ball. He got 5 wickets, which is, not. I think he'll be more. I'm pretty sure Ronak will be more proud of this than all the different knocks that he's played. Getting 5 wickets, because he doesn't bowl that often. But getting these 5 wickets in a game, I'm pretty sure he'll take this over scoring those 30-40 runs, which he does it almost every second, third game. But I think it was clinical win for Indus Thunders. Good to see Manoj back. I know he was traveling, so his addition definitely adds more weight to the batting, and I think pushes Maulik down the order, which I think from the start of the season, that is where he should be batting. I know they were experimenting with him at the top of the order, which hasn't worked. But with Maulik at 4 or 5, I think he can be very destructive or counter attack in situations when it demands. But all in all, I think it was a very clinical victory for Thunders.
Yeah, Parthiv, I think for Hitman, Adi, Santosh Kadikuntla and Arun had good games. But that's about it. I mean, again, I think Ronak Patel and Manoj had better games. That's the bottom line. Those three other guys from Hitmen had good games, but if you ask me, uh, Ronak and Manoj had better games than those three guys combined. There was no Chetan in this game, but that was no problem for Thunders. I think Thunders are the overall number one seed at this point. Very balanced unit. They are looking dangerous. Hitman gave 20 whites. Now, I don't know if we should be calling them the Hitmen or should we be calling them the White Men, because you can't give 20 whites in a Division 1 game and hope to win the game, you see, because that's way too much. It has to be. If it is a Division 2 game, I'll accept that. But if it's a Division 1 game, that's way too many whites to give. Hitmen most likely are getting demoted to the second division come the end of the season, you see. So I think, yeah, I mean, it's about us. I mean, somebody had to go, and so unfortunately they have talent, but probably getting all the talent at the right time is also very crucial. It doesn't happen that easily.
Cool. All right. Next, we go to the last game of the season and to a game I'm pretty sure Viju has a lot to say and has been preparing his knives, sharpening the knives all through the weekend.
Yeah, Parthiv, it's not just through. No, Parthiv. This has not been sharpening just through the weekend. This has been sharpening for, I don't know, 5-6 weeks now. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And these knives are actually not for the GLCC guys. That's what is the mystery now. Who is it
Yes.
for? All right. So we'll get to it.
All right, let me go first. So I think this was like I talked about. I think once Glad has their full unit, it's going to be a different ball game, and you could see here. This is probably I don't know if I'm missing anyone, but Satya can correct. But this is probably the best, if not best, but at least close to the best 12 Glad team, and pretty much everyone I see here should be in the playoff playing. Obviously, Satya himself is missing, but so you would include him.
Pansab and Sean missing.
Oh, Shan is missing, yes. So definitely, I mean, close to as I said, at least 8 or 9 players I would say should be in the playoff starting 11. But good to see Arjun back. Good to see Anoop back. I think it was that innings from Hardeep, which obviously we were talking about it on WhatsApp, that changed that counter attack which he had. I think that one over from was it Samish? I think it was Samish that went for those two sixes, uh, straight down the ground, which I think changed the momentum. At that stage, I think it was looking like 80. If Glads can get to 80, 90, it would be a great game because the bowling was there. It's going to be tough for GLCC to chase. But I think that over and then the approach in which Ruchit and Hardeep played, I think propelled and not to take away anything from Jeet, I think that last couple of overs, that heroics which he had, I think just added the cherry on top, took that score just beyond reach. I think once you guys crossed that 100, it was going to be tough. But once you reach 125, there was no doubt in my mind that it's your game altogether. And I think KK missed a trick or two. I think in this game, I think he could have given Pradeep another over or two. Because I think he was bowling really well. He took a wicket also, so I'm not sure as to why he was stopped. And I think even that extra over to Samish uh, uh, is probably something that I think wasn't something which I would do, especially after getting hit with two sixes. I would have gone to another option. So that was something which I thought KK probably missed in the mix of things. But in the once you guys scored 125, I think with the bowling at your disposal. Uh, Looks like Arjun is back in after injury, so he looked good. Good to see him bowl and roll his arm over. But with Anoop and Jeet, on song, and Jawad adding 3 wickets, I think it was the GLCC batting which is always a suspect. Without Akash and without Ajit, I think those two guys are probably the backbone of their batting. And once they get out cheaply, I don't think there's ever going to be a chance where they're going to be able to chase. But another blunder, probably not a blunder, I would say, but another thing which I'm not sure where KK, found Murli to open. I think when you're chasing again the same mistake which I think KRCC did, when you're chasing 117.25, you need to rotate and get a good start. I think Murli's 3 of 17 is probably a lot slower than what you would want your opener to start off with. Akash also relatively slower than normally what he normally bats, but I'm not sure why. It might be a one-off case where the bowling was really good. But I think that is where another thing he could have changed. Maybe send somebody who could rotate the strike a little bit more to get a good start. Once you come off, the last few overs where you're not in that same momentum, you need to snatch the momentum, and that's where the openers need to be good at. But I think another win. Glad's GLCC has always been a big rivalry. Glad's convincingly beating them, and with the points table, we'll talk about the points table after this. But let Viju, you go. I know you have a lot about this game and the background which went when Glads were losing a few games in the mid-season. There were a lot of questions raised. So you
Yeah,
have the
Partha,
mic.
but before, all right, don't disturb me. But
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a few questions to set this up. All right. George Clooney and Brad Pitt recently had a discussion. I do not know if you're aware of that conversation which went on. And have you heard of the guy named Quentin Tarantino?
Yeah, I am a big fan of Quentin Tarantino.
All right. Now, Quentin Tarantino said that George Clooney is not a big star. He's just washed up or something similar to that. And, he can't draw any audiences into the theater. Do you agree with that statement, or do you think that Clooney is a big star?
I don't think Clooney is a big star. I agree with Quentin Tarantino. I don't think he's a big star.
Okay. Well, his few movies have all been big blockbusters. It's only the last one or two movies. So now, for me, that's like saying a Rajnikant movie failed. Now he's not a big star. Rajnikant is Rajnikant. There is only one Rajnikant. And so, there might be one or two movies which don't succeed at the box office. But to say that Clooney is not a big star, I don't know. In my book,
no, he's a big star, but I think he always needs somebody to in the movies to get that movie to a blockbuster. I don't think he carries the movie himself. Anyways, that's my opinion.
All right. Okay, let's leave that aside. I'll ask you a different question. DCL related question. Parthiv, you are fighting for your life. Your life is on the line, all right? And you have to win a game. Now, you are given a choice, all right? You can pick one out of the three teams that I'm going to lay in front of you, all right? You can pick the current Titans, anybody on their roster, and you can put their best 11 and assume that all the Titans are available at your disposal. Whoever you pick is available at your disposal. They'll play with you to battle for your life. The other option is you could have the entire GLCC team. Everybody who's on their roster is available to you. All right. And then you have the Glads team, and you have everybody who's on the Glads team also on the roster available to you. Now tell me, out of these three teams, which will be your number one choice? Remember, you're battling for your life.
Current roster, right?
Current roster to go for a battle.
Okay. I would say I would pick Glads with all their all the available.
Okay, who is your number two option?
Number two, I think I would still go with GLCC. Because I think there are a few experienced players along there. Titans, as I said, it's untested, so that's why I would put them as third.
All right. So Partha, here is the thing. If I had to fight for my life, that's exactly what I would also choose. I would go with Glads, And then I would go with GLCC because GLCC has more difference makers than Titans. Nothing to take away from Titans, this thing. All I put a hypothetical scenario and I just told you which way I would, and both of us think exactly the same thing. Now, in this particular game, whatever I'm going to say, I have nothing against GLCC. I've always given them the respect. In fact, I modeled the Glads team after GLCC. I always believe that you give respect and you take respect, and you always, when you play against a quality opponent, you're going to win some games, you're going to lose some games, but, after the game, the respect is always there. So whatever I have to say, it is nothing against GLCC, absolutely nothing against KK. I personally think KK led very well from this game. I liked many of the decisions that he took. I probably would have taken the same decisions, except maybe the decision on Murali. All right. This is where I think brotherly love probably might cloud a little bit of the judgment. But having said that, I think I'm a little more in your camp on that particular one. Other than that, do I think Murali has a role in that team? I think so, because he's a technically very correct batsman. But the question is, where do I want it? You get my point? Do I want him at the top of the order, where I don't want quick wickets to fall, which would put the team probably on the back foot? Or do I want to have a little more of an aggressive mindset? Okay. But other than that, I thought KK did a fabulous job in this thing. So, and I also think that he's one of the bright lights in DCL. So we should this thing. I always have great respect for Samish because I think he's one of the greatest competitors DCL has ever seen. And Akash, I have always said, if I could get one player out of GLCC, it would be Akash, hands down. And even in this game, you will be surprised. Go and look at the game. You'll find that Samish moves a fielder from the leg side to the off side. This is Taif is batting. And now he leaves that entire area open. Basically, he's inviting Taif to hit that ball into that region. You get my point? The moment he moved the fielder, I knew exactly what Samish is trying to do. You get my point? Sitting 10,000 miles away, I'm sitting and thinking, I hope Taif doesn't fall for it. And I hope Taif understands that he should pick the right ball. The very next ball, it lands at the exact spot where Samish wants it to land. And there is a vacant area. Taif goes to hit towards that vacant area. He was batting so well until then. But then, the moment that fielder was taken out, you see this vacant spot, you want to hit it into that shot, and in the process, Samish got the wicket. I feel that was a brilliant piece of move from Samish himself. So I like the cricketing brain also. You get my point? I think that in this one, I think Hemant Chilway had a fabulous game, Parthu. I mean, he's having a dream season with the ball and with the bat. He's fabulous. But you know what? Now the question is, why was I sharpening this knife for, 5-6 weeks, you see? My problem is not with one of these guys on the GLCC roster. Then you'll wonder, who do you have a problem with?
Yeah.
Well, I have a problem with a guy who is a wolf in sheep's clothing. All right? In other words, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, this is a guy who is GLCC to the core, but doesn't play for GLCC. He plays for KECC. This is a guy who speaks with a greater American accent than the most polished anglicized American that you can find of. About 5-6 weeks back, somebody whom I trust completely, I haven't heard it, but somebody whom I trust completely sent me text and said that, you know what? This guy, after we lost two games, said that Glads needs to be in Division 3. And I was like, okay, hold on. What are we talking about? Don't give us that kind of disrespect. That's not fair. We have not disrespected any of these players or any of these teams. But if you're going to come and disrespect us, guess what? I'm going to slap you back twice. I mean, if you give one punch, I'll give you 2 punches. That's my mindset, and I don't take it lightly, because you know what? That means you're saying that we are worse than the worst Division 2 team, which is out there, that we can't even beat them. You give me 5 of the core Glads players and you fill in the blanks with the rest, I will beat the worst Division 2 team. Not the best Division 2 team, the worst Division 2 team. But you're saying that we belong to Division 3. But the last I checked, guess what? Last time when Glads played GLCC, we scored, 174 or 178 against them. This game, we won by 53-54. Last 2 games, we haven't even lost a bonus point to them. You haven't even come close to a bonus point. And yet you are disrespecting us and saying that we need to be in Division 3. Go and get your head examined, man. I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, are you in this world? I mean, are you clueless? I mean, have some respect, just because, yes, I understand that it's a free country and everybody has a right to make their point, and you can say whatever you want. But then remember, this is long back. Gautam used to get into a firefight with me, and he used to repeat in emails, and I used to post it on the website, and I used to tell him that this fool doesn't even remember that he has a stick in hand and I have a bazooka in my hand. And do not go into a fight where you can't win. And, it's like, it's stupidity. And so this evening, I remember telling Chetan, hey, Chetan, in your glory days, he used to be the founder of Godfather Cricket Group. I used to say that, I used to say that if he didn't like somebody, he used to put a supari on them. And I said, there is a guy in DCL who speaks with a bigger American accent than the most anglicized American. Man, oh man, he put the Americans and Britishers to shame with his accent. He plays for KECC, but at heart, he's a GLCC bugger, masquerading as a KECC player. I was told by reliable sources that after 2 games in a row, this cartoon said that we should be in Division 3. And I'm going to call him a cartoon, because if you're going to make that kind of statement, guess what? You are a cartoon. That's what you are, because you're masquerading as that. And so I said that, what? If we have to be in Division 3, here's the problem I have. You just lost to us. So are you going to now say that GLCC needs to be in Division 4 because we are in Division 3, according to you? It can't be that all of a sudden, when it comes to GLCC, the same rules doesn't apply. Ultimately, the rules have to be the same for everybody. And, it's objectivity. You need to have the objective. Whatever you say, be objective. Just don't get carried away just to say a few things, just to, get a few laughs. I mean, that's stupidity. I mean, and so for several weeks, I've been waiting to return this and get the knife out and, skewer him, because I really felt that this was uncalled for. This was not Jagan doing it. This is this guy doing it. And I felt that there was no need for that. We have always respected GLCC, and I expect the same respect back. But if you can't, then be prepared to take it back also, because you can give it, then we can also give it back. And so if we are Division 3, all right, you know what? Guess what? You're Division 4. Just stick to the same yardstick. And guess what, Parthiv? On this game day, this guy was there cheering, and you can hear it in this thing, because his American accent is unmissable, all right? And, he's out there cheering for it. And when Glads were 38 for 6 at the 13.2 over mark, he was cheering loud and clear, and he was appealing for anything and everything. But after 13.3, he disappears. There is really nothing more, because this lamb was taken to the woodshed and he was slaughtered. And so I asked Chetan if he had put a couple of assassins on him, whether there was any truth to it. But I'm not happy about the fact that he called us Division 3. I mean, you can say that we are not playing good. You can say all those things, but be objective. Just because we lost 2 games doesn't mean that all of a sudden we are Division 3. If we are Division 3, then why did you lose to us? And that too, the last 2 games without even a bonus point. And don't just ignore that. That's where I have a problem, Parthiv. We lost to strikers. If strikers come and say something to us, I don't have a problem. We lost 2 or 3 straight in a row. Now imagine if we had lost to GLCC 3 in a row, this guy probably would be climbing Mount Everest and saying all kinds of things against us. But I mean, it's like, Parthiv, here is the thing. If you're playing in Division 1, you are a good team. That's the bottom line. Yes. And when 2 good teams play, somebody is going to lose. That's the bottom line. We lost to Titans. Titans lost to GLCC. GLCC lost to us. Now you figure out which team is better. I mean, now to turn around and say just because you have 2 losses, put them into Division 3, that's a little uncalled for. And that's when my blood got boiling, and I said, you know what? I'll get my opportunity, and when I get my opportunity, I will take him to the cleaners. Sorry, but
Okay.
that's how I felt.
No.
That's how I genuinely felt.
No, I think that's fair. I think that was uncalled for. I don't think that's a fair assessment. I mean, as you rightly stated, in Division 1, really, it's all good teams competing against each other, and the margin of error and the difference is very small. And coupled to that, availability factors, when these games are being played, makes a big difference as well. So, you got to see with everything in perspective rather than just looking at losses or wins in black and white. But yes, I think all in all, I think this was a great win for Gladiators, and I think now with a couple of games, how many? 2 games remaining. I think definitely look like. I mean, you probably not get to the top 2, but
Parthav, you want to know the truth? If we can win the next 2 games with bonus, we can get to number 2.
Yes, number 2. Yes, we talked about that. Yeah, but I think it also depends on the other teams as well, right? How they.
No, it doesn't. We control our destiny. We control our destiny.
But
we control our destiny. We can get to number 2. We can get to number 2, or we can even get knocked out of the playoffs. We are in that kind of a situation. All right. I can see a scenario where we can get knocked out of the playoffs, or we can go to number 2. Both scenarios are possible. But that's the beauty of it. You're playing Division 1 cricket, and none of these teams are that pushover teams.
Correct. I think out of the 2, I think KRCC one, that's going to be a real tester. But against Canton Hurricanes, that should be a game. I'm pretty sure you guys must be easily favorites to win that game. So the KRCC one is going to be a good one this weekend.
Yeah, wait till we get the predictions. Wait till we get to the predictions, Parthav. You'll see.
Right.
We'll see what the predictions show. You see.
Well, all right. I think that's a segue into predictions. We're done with the games for the weekend. Now let's look at the predictions. All right. Looks like.
How many votes are in? 12 votes are in. Canton Hurricanes did get 1 vote. That's good.
United Raptors. Oh, the Bulls definitely look favorites. But it's going to be a really interesting game. Raptors have been this year have been unpredictable. They can win.
Look at Stars and Dynamites, 50-50. And Titans, all of us have bought into them.
Yes.
And Red Devils are slight favorites over Fighters. Legends are a complete favorite. And I think the Glads versus, what is that? This thing is a 50-50 tie.
Wow.
And
okay.
Pokiris are complete favorites there. And Phantoms are complete favorites. Phantoms have been playing good cricket. So no surprise there. Vikings, I'm surprised that Agni got more vote than Vikings.
Yeah, they are. I mean, Agni looks like Vikings are before Agni in the table at least. So surprising.
Thunderbolts, local boys. I would have expected closer to a 60-40 than this lopsided.
Who is the KECC supporter who keeps voting? I'm surprised they got 25% vote. That is shocking.
Well, maybe our American anglicized friend needs to work on KECC's fortunes than worrying about whether Glads needs to go into Division 3, If he had focused on that, probably his team's fortunes would be better.
Racha Riders. Wow. Riders getting a lot of love, huh? New team. That is going to be an interesting game. Aren't those teams like 1 and 2 in their division? No.
Oh, by the way, by the way, Satya, if I didn't tell you this before, please do not have him umpire any of your games. We have already suffered enough bad decisions from him. So try and avoid that.
All right. Let's look at our predictions. Who is Vicky still rules the roster? Man, I have fallen way behind. That is.
Well, we are all within 1 point of each other, Parthiv. We are all within. We are all in striking distance. The only problem is the other guy is so far ahead that he's running circles around us.
Wow, he's the Vicky, Raghu, and Satish are all like, and Parag is catching up too. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, even KK is having a good season.
Yeah.
Prediction. Who did KK pick? Glads versus GLCC.
I'm pretty sure it's GLCC.
I don't know. I have to.
Oh, you don't know? Okay. Okay. All right. I was just curious. But anyway, doesn't matter.
I can check.
Okay. So, are we coming to the predictions for this week?
Yeah.
Yes. So, yes. Triox and the Raptors. Viju going to Raptors.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You have to take a risk. I think that is a good risk, actually. I think there could be an upset. I mean, you never know. Raptors have been pulling these rabbit from the hat every single time.
I looked at the number of close games they were winning, and that's why I picked. That's why I picked Raptors, was because somehow in the close games, the Raptors have been managing to. I don't know. Botta has been able to magically do his ice cold water in his veins business to the rest of his teammates and get the job done. So that's why I picked Raptors. Though I think this year Bulls is the better team, but nevertheless, you know.
Are you playing the same thing?
Yeah, I'm doing. I'm following Gaba.
Gabaji's rope-a-dope, is it? By now, Gaba's rope-a-dope has been exposed.
Oh.
2 stars, Parthiv and Chet, and 3.
Wow, Dynamites gets 3-2. That is shocking. Wow, people are getting on Dynamites wagon. Huh?
In other words, even though we are criticizing the PSL players, we still like the sweets that the PSL players are sending our way, I guess. You know, we like to eat the cake that the PSL players are preparing, I guess.
Yep. I mean, looking at the points table, if there was a neutral person who would come, he would be totally shocked. Like Dynamites are 10, almost 1 game away from getting into Division 2, and they're still favorites to go against Stars. That's surprising.
They have to win both the games.
I think after seeing this, Vijay Shanmugam might do breakdance on his head.
Yes.
Red Devils fighters, 2 fighters, and Red Devils.
This is going to be a very close game. I think I'm giving it to Fighters because I saw Red Devils, and it doesn't. I mean, unless they get all the players, I think it's going to be difficult for them to win.
Yeah, but aren't all their players out of Mishka playoffs or things like that? So they should be available, is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, it goes to Legends. Okay, this
Legends
is
easy.
2 Glads.
Wow.
Speaking
so you're playing the rope-a-dope in this?
Yeah, in this one, I finally have decided to do the rope-a-dope. You see?
All right.
I'm like, okay, you know what? We have players impacted by Mishka, so let's go with KRCC.
Wow. Okay. Satish Gabaji is also going with KRCC. Pokiris, Hitmen, makes sense.
Vikings and Agni. We 3 picked Agni. So
wow, surprising.
Yeah, so we were wondering where these votes were coming from. There you go.
Wow. Gabaji is also
there you go. Yeah, there you go. 3 guys right here out of 5 picking Agni.
That's strange.
Local boys, Thunderbolts. I'm the only odd man out here.
You're taking a lot of risk. I mean, I'm sure either you can fall way behind or you're going to catch up with Gavaji.
Well, I need to give some company to my friend Chetan Tucker. I feel bad that he's so far behind, so I thought let's give him some love.
Everything 1, 2, like here 3, 4, like
he has a lot of he's a daredevil.
he has so many changes.
Prediction, yeah, but he has to. That's the only way.
But now see, Satya has picked Marvels over Stallions. 4 of us feel Stallions is the better team.
Yeah. After the drubbing they got this last game, the picking Marvels. Racha Riders.
SSK Racha Riders. If you ask me, Racha Riders is a good pick, right? I mean, I don't think it is that outlandish a pick.
No, I think that's going to go either way. But SSK, I feel this is their stellar season. I mean, this is the best season so far. So go with them. Guardians, Rangers again. Oh, there are quite a few picks which we have 3-2s. So interesting weekend. All right. I think as we see in the prediction, there are a lot of close games and a lot of predictions that are not as straightforward as other weeks. So expect a lot of upsets, a lot of nail biters, and a lot of swapping in the pool table as well as we come towards almost the end of the regular season. I think that's it for tonight. We'll see you next weekend, next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Do join.
By the way, Parthav, you didn't update us on the on that.
Yes,
local boys versus.
I think I sent out that 20.
Yeah, I did. This thing. So, what was the deal there?
The deal is, I think the umpires probably didn't follow the rule book. They took liberties to alter the game during the game itself, and I think there were delays during the game which resulted in unnecessary time wastage, and because of that the umpires just took the liberty of changing not just once but twice, or I think 2 or 3 times during the game, and that wasn't something that the rule book says. The rule book clearly says that the game can only be altered if there is at the start of the game, if there is delay in starting because of whatever reason, and once the game is started, then you follow the Duckworth-Lewis system. You need to revise the target based on the number, the time wastage because of whatever factor, but it has to follow that Duckworth-Lewis system. You can't arbitrarily decide, oh yeah, let's just now do a 20-over game. You can't just keep changing the goalpost that way. So I think it was the umpires who probably didn't understand this. The captains, even though they objected, they had to go with the umpires, and that's a black hole which I think needs to be addressed by the committee. To be honest, is a lot of times the umpires misinterpret the rules, and the committee is on the phone, and we don't want to answer on the phone because we ourselves don't want to be in that position, but we are making judgments. So we made it explicitly clear it needs to be following the rule book. It's, if you call KK, if you call me, or if you call Jagan, whoever, it's just our opinion. It needs to follow the rule book. So in that case, the only penalty or fine that could be levied here is there was a waiver. There was a guy who was under 18 whose waiver wasn't signed, and that was the reason for all the delay. That was the only fine that could be levied. About the umpires not following the rules, there isn't anything in the rule book that is about penalizing the umpires, unfortunately. So, but ultimately the game ended, and the game ended with the consensus of both the captains. So both captains did agree to it. The game ended, so the result still stands. Local boys win the game, but the way the game was conducted.
But then, if local boys won the game, why are local boys doing the complaining?
No, I think they were trying to get.
No, I mean, the
That
result
game
was
itself,
never
they
in
want to
question.
play with 10, I think, right? That was the issue there.
Huh?
Between
What
the
is it?
game itself, I think they found that guy didn't sign waiver. Is it the condition?
Yeah. That the guy they had not signed the waiver, they stopped the game, and
Hmm.
then the game got altered and all that. So I think the complaint wasn't about whether they needed to do and we needed to change the game or alter the result or anything. It was just to make the committee aware of these things happening, and what is the right way of doing it so that doesn't happen again. There wasn't anything that we could influence on the game or any behavior or anything we needed to penalize.
You also
Cool.
had an incident where you guys suspended one of the players for on a complaint from an umpire, which again I think it is the American accent guy who complained. Was it?
Yes, there were. Yes, that's ultimately what we have to go with. Umpires are the guys who are the officials on the field. So, yes, we take the opinions of all the captains as well, but ultimately, the umpires are who we have to go back and trust. But that's the black hole I'm talking about. Is like, what if the umpires are the ones who are guilty? Like, what do we?
Well,
What do we?
that's the problem I'm having. That's why I was telling
Yeah.
Satya. Well, this particular person, we have had some bad decisions in the past. Now, I would like to think that he's fair, but at the same time, when a lot of decisions go against you, you kind of wonder what it is. So that's why I was kind of
Mhm.
warning Satya. But the next thing you know, he sits and complains against you. What do you do now? This is where it's like you're getting down this thing where do we want to sit and complain against people? If it is that egregious, yeah. But usually it's the other team which should complain, but here the umpire takes it upon himself to complain. I'm not sure where we are going
Yep.
down. We end up going down a slippery slope. I saw Venkat Kolla's response to that also saying that, hey, this is not fair, kind of a thing. So I kind of thought, okay,
Yep.
maybe we should at least discuss it to see
Mhm.
where are we going with this whole thing.
Yep.
On one side, you want the teams to be really competitive. And when you have a very competitive game, the game really is enjoyable. But you also don't
Mhm.
want it to become a complaint
Yep.
filled job.
Yeah, I think,
But
and
anyway,
we stressed the importance of sending good umpires to all team captains, because I think ultimately, since this is a league where we all support each other, that's the only thing we can do to avoid these blunders or things where personalities kind of take over and change the outcome of the game. So if captains can help support this and send quality umpires, I think that will help a lot. You do see that in the playoffs. In the regular season, I think that's something which is difficult for people to send 12, because they
Playoff,
have.
we pick the umpires, right?
Correct. But even when they nominate good people, right? At least decent people, apart from few teams who.
generally speaking, yes, generally speaking,
Yes.
it's usually in the first round that you have a little bit of question, but starting quarterfinals, because it's only eight
Yep.
more games, you generally get good umpires, and starting
Yep.
semifinals, you get absolutely excellent umpires.
Right.
And both teams agree to it, and so it's kind of
Right.
very
And
helpful,
even the
actually.
paid even the paid option is not a guarantee, because we've tried that option as well in, I think, the season before this, and it hasn't delivered any better results, because paid or not paid, I think quality of umpire is always going to be questionable uh, in that case. So the only way I think is could be better is if the captains take it upon themselves and nominate at least. I know it's difficult, because in a week I think a team has to send like 4 or 6 umpires, so it's difficult to get like 4 or 6 quality ones, but at least as many as you can. I think that'll help.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Cool.
With that, we need to wrap this show tonight, and we will see you next weekend with more updates and more masala and more of the sharpening of the knives. Video that was fun, and
All
hope to
right.
see more of that.
Yeah, I was waiting for 6 weeks for the with the knife to sharpen this knife, So hopefully that is enough sharpening for for this season. But I had fun. But you know what, Partha, we enjoyed the game against GLCC, not because we won, but I think when you play a very high quality opponent,
Yep.
you won't believe the amount of adjustments. I think privately I told you, but you
Yeah.
know what?
That
Publicly,
was you.
adjusting the toss in Mishka game, where both sides agree that if they win the toss, they are going to do this to make sure that somebody comes for a DCL game. We had to go to that extent. Now, I probably wouldn't do that against an ordinary opponent. But when the opponent is GLCC and you know what is on the line, and you know that
Yep.
you need to bring your A game, you have to do some of those things to make that happen. But really speaking, we actually had an understanding on adjusting the Mishka toss so that our players could come and play the game against GLCC. So,
So, are we going to review the picks, what we did 4 weeks back?
which picks is that?
Where the GABA had an Excel sheet who will be making to the play.
We should do that, but here is the problem. We don't have GABA to do it. So without GABA, how are we going to manage that?
But wasn't that towards the end of the season, like because we predicted throughout, right?
No, he predicted well
but
going forward.
One more week after that, right? Like 2 more weeks. So
yeah, maybe we can do
maybe
it.
We should. Next week we should ask GABA to come prepared. That's probably, and ask him to attend the show.
Yeah. I think with this corporate cup, I think we need to find a.
When does this corporate cup get over?
Last week, I think.
This
last week.
So this month, last week, right?
Yeah.
Oh no.
So if
playoffs,
I think next week is the playoffs, right? But I think, yeah. So there'll be one more week after that for finals if they reach the finals.
But after that, it is a long weekend.
Oh yes. Let me see what the schedule. But yeah,
so
let's talk.
Both of you guys are not playing corporate cup, is it? I mean, I know Parthiv is not.
I'm not playing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. If we need to get Gabaji, then maybe we can ask him if he can do. Can you do Tuesday, Viju?
I can do Tuesday.
Okay, we can try that if that works for all three of us. Because Thursday definitely doesn't work for me because I have my daughter's swimming that time. Yeah.
Okay.
So I can't miss that.
We'll see. Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys.
All right. Sounds good.
Good night. See ya.
Take care. All right. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.